Howdy, folks. Ever wondered why your dog seems more interested in chasing its tail than listening to you? Well, you're not alone. Picture this. A man, let's call him Tom, finally gets his dream dog, a feisty little corgi. Tom's thrilled, but there's a problem. The corgi, let's name him Max, has a mind of his own. Tom says sit, Max hears spin around in circles. Tom says stay, Max hears run like the wind. Sound familiar? Well, don't worry, Tom isn't alone in his dog training misadventures. Many of us have been there, trying to teach our four-legged friends the basics, only to find ourselves outwitted at every turn. But don't lose hope, because today, we're going to explore the top 10 ways to tackle these common dog training mistakes. So, if you've ever felt like your dog is training you instead of the other way around, stick around. We're about to dive into the top 10 ways to deal with common dog training mistakes. First off, consistency is key. Without it, your dog might as well be learning commands in a foreign language. Imagine you're trying to learn Italian, but your tutor switches between Italian, French, and Spanish. It'd be confusing, right? That's how your dog feels when you're inconsistent with your commands. So, how do we establish and maintain consistency? Start by using the same command words every time. If you use down for them to lie down, stick with it. Don't switch to lie down or flat. It's like telling someone to stop in English, then suddenly saying halt in German. They might get it eventually, but it's not efficient. Also, ensure everyone in the household is on the same page. If you're saying off when your dog jumps on the couch, but your spouse is saying down, it's going to create a canine language barrier. Remember, consistency isn't just important, it's critical. Without it, you're barking up the wrong tree. Next up, socialization. And no, we're not talking about doggy dates here. Socialization isn't about arranging play sessions with other pooches, though that can be a part of it. It's about introducing your furry friend to a variety of experiences, environments, and individuals, both human and canine. Picture this. You've got a dog who's only ever known the four walls of your home. Suddenly, he's thrust into a park full of unfamiliar sights, sounds, and smells. It's like being dropped in the middle of Times Square on New Year's Eve. Overwhelming, right? Regularly exposing your dog to different situations helps them learn to adapt, keeping them calm and composed. It's like teaching a child to swim. You don't just toss them in the deep end, you start with the shallows, gradually increasing the depth as their confidence grows. So don't neglect socialization. It's not just about playtime. It's a crucial part of training too. Ever heard the saying, you catch more flies with honey than vinegar? Well, the same goes for training your dog. Positive reinforcement is like honey to dogs. It's all about rewarding good behavior, which makes them more likely to repeat it. Think of it as a pat on the back, a good job, if you will. Now, let's delve a bit into the benefits. First off, it strengthens the bond between you and your dog. It's like a mutual trust exercise. Your dog learns that good behavior equals reward, and who doesn't love rewards? But how do you effectively use positive reinforcement? Start by identifying what your dog loves. It could be a favorite toy, a special treat, or even just a good belly rub. Use these rewards immediately after the desired behavior. Timing is crucial here. Remember, consistency is key. Keep the rewards coming for continued good behavior. So, ditch the vinegar and go for the honey. Positive reinforcement is a game changer in dog training. Moving on, let's talk about mastering the basics. Yes, it's tempting to teach your dog to fetch your slippers, but let's start with sit first, shall we? Imagine trying to build a house without laying the foundation first. It's not going to stand for long, is it? Training your dog is similar. Mastering basic commands like sit, stay, come, and heel is akin to laying a solid foundation for your dog's training. These commands are the building blocks for a well-behaved, obedient pet. They help to establish a language between you and your dog, a way to communicate effectively. But remember, every dog is different. What works for one might not work for another. So, experiment, find out what works best for your furry friend, and stick to it. And yes, patience is key. It might take a while, but the results are worth it. So, take it one step at a time. Master the basics first, and the rest will follow. Now let's tackle behavioral issues, and yes, that includes your dog's obsession with chewing shoes. Let's face it, every dog has its quirks, and while some may be endearing, others can be downright troublesome. The trick is to address these issues promptly, not to let them fester. Just like with humans, habits can become ingrained in dogs if they're left unchecked. So it's crucial to nip these issues in the bud before they become hard-to-break habits. If your dog has a penchant for digging up the garden or barking at the mailman, don't brush it off as a phase. Instead, identify the root cause and address it. Is your dog bored or anxious? Are they seeking attention? Remember, training is not just about teaching tricks. It's about communication. Use positive reinforcement to correct unwanted behaviors. Reward good behavior and ignore or redirect bad behavior. This approach builds trust and understanding, fostering a healthier bond between you and your furry friend. So nip those behavioral issues in the bud. It'll save you a fortune in shoes and sanity. Scene script. Next on the list, optimizing the length of your training sessions. Remember, your dog's attention span isn't as long as a movie marathon. Now let's think about this. You wouldn't want to sit through a 4-hour lecture, right? Well, neither does your furry friend. A good rule of thumb is to keep training sessions to about 15 minutes. This is long enough to teach new skills, but short enough to keep your dog's attention. However, every dog is unique, and it's essential to gauge your dog's attention span. If your dog starts to lose interest or seems overwhelmed, it might be time to wrap things up. Don't push it. Remember, the idea is to make training enjoyable, not a chore. In between those sessions, give your dog some free time to play and rest. This helps them to process what they've learned and keeps them eager for the next training session. So keep your training sessions short and sweet. Your dog will thank you for it. Patience, folks. It's not just a virtue, it's a must when training your dog. Now, let's face it, training a furry friend isn't a walk in the park. You've got to be as patient as a monk in a traffic jam. Why, you ask? Well, our four-legged companions don't understand our language and they learn at their own pace. So what can you do? First, manage your expectations. Your dog isn't going to master the sit command on day one, and that's okay. It's a process. Second, keep your cool. Dogs are sensitive creatures. They can pick up on your frustration, which can make them anxious or confused. And third, celebrate the small victories. Each little step forward is a big deal. Remember, Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither will your dog's obedience. So breathe in, breathe out, and remember, patience is key in dog training. Let's move on to training environments. No, your living room isn't the only place where you can train your dog. Now you might be thinking, but it's so comfortable here on my plush velvet couch. And yes, while that's true, consider this. The world outside your front door is a veritable smorgasbord of smells, sights, and sounds that your dog is dying to explore. Training in different environments helps your dog to adapt to different situations and stimuli. It's like taking your dog on a sensory field trip. One day you might be practicing sit and stay in the bustling park. The next you're working on heel in a quiet neighborhood street. This versatility makes your dog well-rounded and confident, ready to tackle anything from a squirrel scurrying across their path to a crowd of adoring fans at the dog park. So mix it up. Training in different environments can make a world of difference. Treats. They're not just for bribing your dog to stop barking during your favorite TV show. They're an integral part of dog training, and when used wisely, they can work wonders. But here's the catch. Treats should be just that. Treats. They should be occasional rewards, not a staple of your dog's diet. Too many treats can lead to weight gain and health issues. Remember, moderation is key. Now, when it comes to training, treats are like gold. They can motivate your dog to learn new commands faster, but ensure you're not overdoing it. Give treats as a reward for good behavior, not a bribe for obedience. It's also important to vary the treats. Just like us, dogs can get bored with the same old thing. Try different types of treats to keep your furry friend engaged and eager to learn. And lastly, timing matters. Give the treat immediately after your dog does something right. This way, they'll associate the reward with the action. So, use treats wisely. They're a powerful tool in your dog training arsenal. Scene script. Last but not least, be a confident leader. Your dog isn't just man's best friend, they're also man's best follower. Now, isn't that something? Just like us humans, dogs too appreciate a strong leader. They inherently understand hierarchy and look for cues on who's in charge. If they don't see you as the leader, they might just decide to take up that role themselves. And trust me, you don't want your adorable little poodle calling the shots. The key to being a confident leader is to exhibit calm, assertive energy. You don't have to be loud or aggressive. It's about maintaining a steady gaze and a firm voice. It's about walking tall with your head held high. Remember, dogs can sense your energy. If you're nervous, they'll be nervous. If you're calm and confident, they'll be calm and confident. And here's a little secret. It's not just about training your dog, it's also about training yourself. So, stand tall, be confident, and lead the way. your dog will follow. Well, folks, that's a wrap. Let's quickly run through what we've covered today. We kick things off with the importance of consistency, laying down the law and sticking to it, rain or shine. Next, we stressed the significance of regular socialization, letting your dog mingle with fellow canines and humans alike. Then we delved into positive reinforcement, the art of rewarding good behavior and ignoring the bad. We highlighted the necessity of mastering basic commands first, before moving on to more complex ones. We discussed the urgency of addressing behavioral issues promptly, nipping any problems in the bud. We talked about optimizing training session lengths, keeping them short, sweet, and effective. We also emphasized the need for patience because Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither is a well-trained dog. We explored training in different environments and using treats wisely, not as a bribe, but as a reward. Lastly, we stressed the importance of being a confident leader, not a boss, but a guide. Remember, dog training isn't a sprint, it's a marathon. Stick to these tips, keep your sense of humor, and you'll have a well-trained pooch in no time. Until next time, happy training.